living a life. Living a life. I said, we are living a life. Bless touch. Oh, na, na. God is everything. Oh, na, na, na. Kill some man. Oh, na, na. Oh, na, 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 na. God is everything. Oh, na, na. Yeah. Oh, na, 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 na. Come at the head of it. Hey, Palestine, sing it up. Oh, what's in our Wakuba? Sing it up. Get a number one. Sing it up. They got them sugar. Sing it up. Got them sugar. Sing it up. Hey, Palestine, sing it up. Oh, what's in our Wakuba? Sing it up. Get a number one. Sing it up. They got them sugar. Sing it up. Got them sugar. Simple, simple. Sing it up. Cool, simple. Okay. Funakakeka wotolo tugende mu maaso kutereko kanakabuzi tunyumye mukwano embozi ya mafia yaragwezaako yatoba nnyo mu geto katavana mu sitipo enchwiri mukubako kyenda anastesimuba muto kupopinga enju asibiribibi bambabambamba yafunamu epunje ebyekiyayo yabijjayo lokali God fast, yeah. And Palestine, sing it up. Oh, what's in our Wakuba? Sing it up. Get a number one. Sing it up. They got them sugar. Sing it up. Got them sugar. Sing it up. And Palestine, sing it up. Oh, what's in our Wakuba? Sing it up. Get a number one. Sing it up. They got them sugar. Sing it up. Got them sugar. Simple, simple. Sing it up. It's a matter of time, you don't say. Yes, biri bamba bamba. Oh mama bamba bamba. Yabagamba likola kabaka. Abaite muje mgunyumire. Nanti ngabonye kunje kuba yabasakala nanja musite. Sigido, mulaye, mulaba. Sigido na na. Oh na 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 na. Sagasa. Empale sayambala. Oh buzina bwakuba. Get a youth number one. Sing it up. They got them sugar. Sing it up. Got them sugar. Sing it up. And Palestine. Sing it up. Oh, what's in our Wakuba? Sing it up. Get a youth number one. Sing it up. They got them sugar. Sing it up. Got them sugar. Sing it up. Yeah. Work hard. Believe. Achieve. Yes, Simi.
Good evening and welcome to Ikemba, a youth program on reparations. This evening we're talking about youth involvement in leadership, and we're talking to some young people and a person who I believe is still very young at heart. So I'll start from the young at heart, who is Mr. Astel Collins, an employee of the Ministry of the Presidency, directly under the Honorable Minister of State, Joseph Harmon. We have Miss Ariel Innes, who is seeking office within her constituency, within her community. And we have our very own member of Ikemba, Sule Collymore, who is also seeking office within his community. So, good evening and welcome to you guys.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So, youth involvement in leadership. Many a times we hear young people sit on the sidelines, they criticize. This needs to be done, that needs to be done. that needs to be done. Do you think, and there are one of the main criticisms that I hear is more youth involvement.
Yeah.
More youth involvement. We need more youth involvement. But we're not seeing more young people getting involved. I think I've seen a lot of young people get involved at the local government level. And so I'm happy for that. But we hear when it comes to leadership, more youth involvement, and we're not seeing as much youth involvement as I'm assuming we would want to see. Are there barriers to entry? What is going on in that regard? What are some of the reasons you think that might be happening? Anybody can jump in first.
First, I would like to say thank you for having me here. And number one, youth. The word that speaks of young and vibrant people that are able and capable of getting stuff done. And as such, we are put on the back burner because we are not experienced. And the only way for us to gain experience is for not, I don't want to say older, but
do you think young people are put on the back burner, or we're not forceful enough? Which
there are two things. Sometimes when you're forceful, you're being put on the back burner. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
Because when you're trying to reach that level or to show that, I want to make that change. I want to be that change, and I want to see my children, grandchildren, and generations to come benefit from what I want to do. Then they will say, what kind of qualifications you get? Are you experienced? Do you know what you're getting into? Can you stand it? I mean, if we're being put down like this, when we are aiming to go, you know what they're going to say? We're not going to go nowhere, you know what? They make people feel like, well, they know it all.
Mr. Collins, I want your input on this.
We first must define what leadership is. Leadership is it's not, first of all, it's not a position, nor is it a title.
Yeah.
And I think if we, as the upcoming generation, and I am young, if we believe in the notion that we have to be placed to be leaders, I think we have already defeated ourselves. I believe that a leader is one who, leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, motivated by a passion, generated by a conviction, and ignited by purpose. One must first understand their purpose before they can even think about being in a position of leadership. And I don't think we should restrict our existence or ability or capacity to lead simply by a title or a position. We would have been disqualified if that be the case. And I think we as the next generation have to take responsibility in that. And now that we're running, I'm actually in the communities, meeting the people. And you see the work that can be done, that have to be done. And you do not necessarily need a structure to get it done. You can actually mobilize, and that's a form of leadership, community leadership.
You don't need formal administration.
You do not need formal administration. And I think that even the local government system is the government's statement to give young people an opportunity and a chance. So we cannot justifiably say that young people are not given a position. I think, and it was discussed earlier, that we need to take it, the kingdom suffered violence and the violence take it by force.
Yeah.
I believe we need to be a bit more assertive. For example, this afternoon, I met a girl who's 18, who is completely not interested in the whole local government or even the voting exercise. I said, you have now disempowered yourself. And there was another guy who said, now you would complain when your drains are not dug. And the local government is so much more than drains being dug and lights being placed on lantern posts. It is about us as the generation giving ourselves the opportunity to be heard and say, look, we can, because that's the thing with the local government system. It's anyone. once you're of the age, that can say, look, I want, and you don't have to be in a structure, a political structure. You can run independent. So for us to say that we're not given the opportunity, we would be disingenuous to the current administration.
So it's not about sitting on the sidelines, waiting for an opportunity to be offered to you.
You can form groups.
Sitting with your hand out, waiting for somebody to come and say, hey, look, hold this thing, boy.
But I would also like to add that there are significant amount of youths that are in leadership positions.
Exactly.
So let's not discount the fact that there are youths that are in these positions doing these things. But when it comes to the political aspect, we may see a lack of youths within the political forum, for lack of a better word.
You're talking about central government.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, central government. But however, that doesn't mean that there's no place for youths. The opportunity is still there. You just need to, as you said, push for it.
But I'm happy you started on that part, Sule. So how do you think we can, or how do you think local government can contribute to not only national development, but molding national leaders also?
Very good.
Specifically, governance. When we're looking at governance, it's three. For Guyana, it's tripartite. There is the national level, regional level, and the community level. The local government stimulates the community level and, to some extent, the regional level. Now, if your focus is the community, you have young, able persons that are focused on the development of the community. If each individual community works towards development, then as a whole, there is national development.
Correct.
And there's representation on the lowest level. So from the point you have representation on the lowest level, everybody's voice can be heard and everyone's grievances can be addressed.
Anybody else wants to chip in?
No, that's exactly what I actually wanted to say. In a nutshell, I just like to say all of this cannot be done without the elders. And it's very important, I would like to say, for us to place emphasis on taking notes, on taking jottings, on listening, learning. And not everything that you hear is going to be, okay, this is going to be good. Young people come with bright, new, vibrant ideas to develop their community. And as such, we need to embrace our elders, but also don't be afraid to shoot your new ideas.
I believe
once you find yourself.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
I believe there needs to be a intergenerational dependence, where we use the wisdom of the elderly and the vision of the young.
Yep.
There have to be that intersection where we know, and that's the difference with humility. And humility is when you realize that there was one who went before me, who created a path, and I am now responsible for creating a path for those that are coming behind me. That is humility. So I think we have to take a posture of humility, where we're cognizant that it's not just about us, and there is a generational dependence on the work we're doing now. You talked earlier about the how it affects how the local government system or the community. That is the foundation. It's like a family is the foundation of society. I think the community involvement in the governance structure is the foundation of national government.
Yes,
because that sets a tone and a precedence of what will happen. Even this local government election is setting a tone for what is going to happen at the national election. So we cannot discredit or discount what the activities that are surrounding this local government election. So I think it's crucial.
What do you say to young people who, because we have been, at least throughout this discussion so far, we've been talking about leadership, but we've also been indirectly talking about politics.
Right.
But how do you separate the two? How do you separate leadership from politics? Because there are a lot of young people
I think that leadership is not
who
politics.
there are a lot of those who think that leadership is only politics.
Correct.
And there are others who want to get involved in leadership, but
don't want to
They
get involved
don't
in
want to get
politics.
involved in
Mhm.
politics.
Yeah.
I said when I returned from South Africa, I brought a book. I attended a seminar in the Bahamas by Dr. Monroe. The book was called The Power of Character in Leadership. And it was written that we do not need more politicians in leadership, but we need more leadership in politicians. So when you say there's a distinct difference between being a politician and being a leader, a politician is concerned with the next election. A leader is concerned with the next generation. A politician...
Please say that again.
A politician is concerned with the next election, and he will do everything and say anything to get in power. But a leader is concerned with the next generation. It's like the difference between an inhabitant and a citizen. A citizen is one who's concerned with the affairs of the state. So I believe it's our moral responsibility to be involved. And we do not, and that's the thing, we do not have to be political minded, whereby we are only expressing our political views through a party. That's why I talked earlier about you can be independent, but you should not rob this generation of your leadership input because you may not like the views expressed by a political party. And I think it has been divisive that we cannot voice our opinions because it must be on a political slate. I think we, as this generation, have to take the mantle and be a bit more responsible to foster national unity, where we must have the discussions that we do not have to hate each other, but we can disagree without being disagreeable.
Yeah.
I mean,
Correct.
When I was going to England and I went to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I saw on a poster, what does it mean to be Guyanese? What does it mean to be Guyanese? We have an eclectic group, almost a kaleidoscope of ideas, ethnicities, but we should not be reduced, even our humanity should not be challenged and reduced to being expressed only by a political identity. We literally have become gangs. In the States, if you wear red, that's blood. If you wear blue, it's Crips. So now we have gangs, and the gang is denoted by color. We have to transcend beyond that. Guyana is only 700,000 people.
But do you think when because we heard the president say local democracy.
Right.
And so under his watch, there should be local government elections every 3 years.
Right.
But we've also seen the major political parties dominate local government elections with the president's justification that local democracy, and I take this very well, that local democracy also needs organization. And so it is critical to have an organization or have organizations involved in the local democracy. But do we think that that level of politics, with the dominance of the main political groups, do you think that helps or does it hurt?
She earlier spoke about our need to depend on the guidance of the elderly, and I think it's an ideal platform for young people who are aspiring leaders to be guided. But I also said, if they feel that none of the two major parties ascribe to their beliefs, there is always the option of going independent. But we cannot say that they should not participate, because if I am sincere about governance and democracy, then I have a role and a right to participate. Whether my organization is massive, it's big, that is inconsequential to the fact that I have a right to participate in the democratic activities of my nation. So I don't believe that one takes away from the other. But all of us can come together and say, no, because of the organization that exists in the established parties, they now would, and then we can learn and better it. I think there is a place for evolution, political evolution, where we can take the necessary steps. We've seen what worked. We saw what has not worked. And we can, take the best practices and advance the nation. But for us to say that the more established parties ought not to participate, we would be doing ourselves a disservice, because we still need that level of guidance and direction.
On the note of participation, let's get to your participation. Each of you are contesting in your own communities, in your constituencies, for local government elections. What was your why basically did you get involved in the process? Why did you say, I am going to participate? And what different or what new do you think you can bring to your constituencies? I'll start from you, Sule.
All right. For my constituency, I decided to participate in local government because I noticed there's the opportunity there. And me personally, I've done several community development outside of the local government area or forum or administration for that matter, and they've been pulled off successfully. But me running now is to put myself in a position where I can facilitate further development, more administrative duties to facilitate further development, not just from government perspective, but we're also looking for organizational help, private organizations and so forth. So anything is welcome. It's not just a governmental operation. We're trying to put development of the community as a whole. So we're using all means that are necessary for us for the development of the community.
Before we go to you, Ariel, I usually say that there are a lot of ways to get involved in local government, and you don't need to be formally on the council to get involved in local government.
Exactly.
So they're your community organizations.
Precisely.
And even if you're not formally elected to council, there are a lot of ways to still get on that council, because the council has the right to, or the mandate to have special select committees where you don't need to be an elected member of council to be on a committee that looks at garbage collection in the community, or a committee that looks at business development in the community, or a committee if you're in a community that is agricultural based, or you don't need to be in a community to look at agricultural. You don't need to be on the council formally to be in a committee that looks at the development of agriculture in your community, but you just need to be willing to, as we said earlier, to participate
and also
to get involved in the process.
Be aware of whatever issues that the community are facing, obviously,
and to bring these issues to the forefront and to the council. And it's of course the duty of the council members to go out and to meet with their constituency.
Okay. Before I decided to join with a group, the group that I joined, its name is Action Force. It was based on community development for the old to the young. And that was our main goal as young people. And it was led by our leader. It is still led by our leader, Jamal Bagat, who is also the leader of the APNU party for local government in Bedford Triumph area. So I joined because I want to see the improvement and the development of my community. I want my community to be a community of standard, a community where people are being respected, a community where we do not forget where we came from, a community where we can depend on our elders to bring and teach. That's why we have workshops available. We also open an ICT up to let people who have...
This is all community work you've done without being on council?
Yes.
Okay.
So this was a group joint. We opened an ICT up with the help of other members from other different parties in Guyana. These are not, we're not working to see, okay, run by a specific party or run by this specific person. We're looking to develop our community with all of us coming together. If I can do it on my own, I would. But I'm very easy to be broken. But if we all come together, it's very hard to break this bunch. Right? So I like to say that it doesn't take much for you to just get to know someone, get to find out what is it that they want to get done or see change in their community. And little by little, by going and talking to people, say, oh, she's interested in what, they can either say two things, you're fast or you're interested. And if you show them that what you're actually aiming to do is for the betterment of everyone and for generations to come, you'll get that.
And if I'm correct, your district councils are NDCs.
Yes.
And Mr. Collins, you are the municipality of Georgetown.
Correct.
Which means that I'm possibly sitting with our next mayor.
Yes, I was actually asked and approached by one of the residents in the community, Dawn Primo. She said, Asta, you simply have to do it. Because when I came back from South Africa, I had done close to maybe over 600 seminars and speaking engagements. But I was never interested in the political, or being, politically involved. So she said, Asta, you just have to do this for our community. So I acquiesced and I agreed. But being granted the opportunity to go about and meet with the people, there was this woman, LaRock. She's 91. She said she had seen me probably 8 years ago when my grandmother passed. And she was happy to see me. And I went upstairs to her room. She's in her bed. And I was able to feed her fruits. And all she kept saying, you came to take care of me. You came to take care of me. There's another woman who had an issue with her leg. And when I approached, because I was doing my walkabout, and I approached her and she said, with tears in her eyes, I held you as a baby. Now you... This has been quite emotional for me because I've never seen myself in this role. I remember it being said that greatness is not fame nor popularity. Greatness is a matter of service. And I think the local government opportunity gives us that platform to serve, if we are to be honest, because there's no money in it. It gives us the opportunity to serve and give back. So my participation or being involved was as a result of being asked, agreeing to participate, and then now having doing the walkabouts to see the... And that's the thing. Once you're living in the community, you know the needs because you experience them too.
Yeah.
But there is a difference in terms of how people appreciate, not necessarily appreciate, but how their perspective on what is most important. Some people it's lights. Some people it's the drainage. Some people is, garbage collection. So it is how do you put together not a program, but how do you address the needs of everyone in the community? And it's not a silver bullet for everything, but it's how do we come together and work as an extended family? Because there are times when, and that's my slogan is actually better matters. Better matters. My party group is Good Life. You might have the good life, but better matters. We need to demand better of our political leader, but most importantly of ourselves. We have the responsibility to do more, not only for ourselves, but for others in the community. We have an opportunity now to say not only to the government, but to the residents of the community that the time is now for us to come together, put aside our grievances, and let us see how we can advance a community at a time. Because I said I want Campbellville to literally be the microcosm of the excellence that is possible for Guyana. We are an eclectic group whereby there's not just one ethnicity represented. There's not one type of businesses represented. But we have an opportunity to show that Guyana can indeed be one people in one nation with a shared destiny. Yeah.
And that brings me a bit more into the local government process, because as I said, you run your NDCs, and Mr. Collins, you are the municipality of Georgetown. We know that definitely you're working with your communities, but when you get into council, it might be the community of Campbellville, but people are also looking to you for leadership in the municipality of Georgetown, and we know a lot has been going on there. What are some of the things that we need, and what are you bringing specifically?
The elderly love to say that when we get to that bridge, we'll cross.
I would just like to put in one thing that
Good answer.
there's a saying that Mr. President David Granger normally says, all politics starts local.
Yes.
The reason, my interpretation of that is that nothing can be done at the higher level without something being done at the low level. Babies don't be born whole, as in an adult. They're born as babies for a reason, for growth, for development, for different stages of learning, and that is necessary for us. We need to start somewhere, get some kind of ground movement going so that we can work and build our way up there. And without that, nothing would be possible.
What are 3 things that you each are bringing to your constituencies?
All right. I've campaigned about community development, youth programs, better environments, better drainage, and these things, but I'm not a person of promises. I'm more of a person of action. So, because we have this culture whereby politicians show up during election time, and now garnishing votes, promising people in these types of things. And I'm trying to cut that out. Actions speak way louder than words for me.
Yes.
So I'm here for community development as a whole. I'm here as a representative for the community. If you have a grievance, it will be addressed. Your concerns will be addressed immediately or as fast as possible. So I'm here to facilitate development for my community.
All right.
For myself, I'm here basically for better expectation. That is my slogan, and it's also the meaning of the community that I'm from. Better for Wacting means better expectation. And that is what I'm aiming for. I'm not aiming for things to be the normal things to be done. I'm looking for betterment, a high ground level, because we need to step it up a notch. We need to stop being here. This level is not enough. We need to do things way out of and with the guidance from our elders, we'll be able to reach that goal. That's why our group was approached by the APNU to collate with them to get stuff done because of the work that young people in our community have already started doing. And we would not say no. And we would have never said no, because we're aiming to go higher. better expectation. We're not looking to stay down here. Because we're a small group doesn't mean that our group needs to stay down here as young people. We aim for higher, we were approached by higher means, and we got it. So that is what I would like to say to people, that my my goal for my community is to make it well established. I'm looking and I'm researching on all the things that my community had before I was born. It was the second village to gain its independence after Victoria.
Wow.
So I am looking to bring back, not only to bring some of the old ways, but bring a little mother touch to it. So that's my goal.
I love the fact that you said that she constantly, her theme is the reliance on the elderly. And that is excellent.
If I'm correct, this is Month of the Elderly.
Month of the Elderly?
I think it is.
That's good. There's an elderly, and almost an iconic figure in Camberville, Rudy Bishop, and he recently returned to lend support to my campaign, and he was the one responsible for the Campton ground, the Campton football club, football team, and even there's a community building. One man, I think he was assisted, but the knowledge, he's a reservoir of information.
Yeah.
And what I learned about Camberville just from him, I was astounded. And you really, it's like going back to its former glory, where the community center acted as a hub of activities and outlets, and his vision, and to see that, I think as you spoke, I was reminded of the idea of the spirit of honor. We might have a sense of exuberance which comes with our youth, but if we don't stop to pause and acknowledge those that came before us, what they have learned and the wisdom that they can impart unto us, I think we would be doing ourselves a disservice, because we have to literally stand on the shoulders of the great men that came before. If you go to Israel, in the museum called Yad Vashem, the soldiers, before they take their oath of office, and their children, they usually visit that museum, and it's horrific. It shows them the graphics of what happened through the Holocaust and so forth. So they have a sense of not only patriotism, but responsibility. And I think we as Guyanese have to be reminded of the price that was paid. You talked about Betapawatan being the second village that gained independence.
Yeah.
Dear land of Guyana, rivers and plains, made rich by the sunshine and lush by the rain, set gem-like and free between mountains and seas, your children salute you, dear land of the free, all sons of one mother, Guyana the free, one land of six peoples, united and free, more worthy our heritage, land of the free. We had independence, but as a nation are we free? Is freedom the ability to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, with whom you want to do it? No. Freedom is responsibility and management, and the first resource we're given to manage is time. We have to understand what time we're in and what is required for this time. We have just discovered that we are, as a nation, resting on oil.
Yeah.
So it's a different time politically. It's a different time for us, even as young people, to be involved. We need all the help we can get. We need all the guidance we need that is required. For where we're going, nobody knows what Guyana will be in the next 5 years, what Guyana will be in the next 10 years. We are constantly evolving. And this injection of resources and attention from the world, we have to be prepared. And we need all the help we can get. So I hope to remind the residents of Camberville and my constituency that we have to arise and shine, because the light is upon Guyana now. But more than that, we were discussing earlier a mantra away too.
Power to the people.
I want to be the embodiment of the power that is entrusted to the citizen. As a citizen, you don't need a position, you don't need a title. As a mere citizen of this great land,
You have power.
we have power and responsibility.
Yeah.
So I hope that people the ordinary residents, understand their power. Long ago, the only time we know of our power is when we ask people to vote. But even beyond the voting, that is just an activity. We need to instill a sense of responsibility. We're beyond because when this is passed, because this is next month, when this is passed, we don't have to wait for another 3 years. And then we go to the next national election, which is 2020. But we have to constantly be reminded of our responsibility to be citizens of Guyana and not just inhabitants. So I think the local government system allows us to be mindful of our responsibility as citizens.
Dear land of Guyana, it is time, a mantle away too. It is time. It's time for local government elections. It is time for youth involvement. It is time for oil. Dear land of Guyana.
It is time for excellence.
It is time for excellence. And I hope, and I know it's your time, and it is our time.
Yeah.
Let's pause for a while. Let's go to a few videos, and then we'll come back shortly.
Gombela. Our screams were collected into bottles of schnapps to belly full our chiefs into psychological distortion. There in their drunken stupor, stories were told that even the toothless child knew that the light of civilization dawned from Africa. At a time the world was drenched in darkness, until the old pages of history faded our stories into oceans of deceptive and perceptive nature, where our achievements were characterized as worthless. And that we never at any slide in history contribute to the human race. The voices of our people got lost amongst the tumult of voices echoed from the whip of slave masters. Our beautiful women with dangling rhythms of their backsides at the slightest movements of their bodies got the white man attracted, and so their pride was arrested, bundled and shipped away into unknown lands of thirst, then saw the birth of mulattoes.
I remember the past. They used to put us in chains and sell us around the world. Yeah, but now we are welcome them with open arms. 'Cause that's the heart of a Negro. Ooh, I am an African.
I am an African. Typical lines. With it comes tradition and religion. You sit there with expectations of rich soil, beautiful grasslands, people with extreme African dark tans. Well, I have concrete and pits of sand, milky skin surrounding me. My stars move with flight, and out of my townhouse windows I see them, then quickly out of sight. Clicks and beats you desire to roll off my tongue, but instead you hear evidence of previous colonies formed by British sons. You desire my eyes to feast on Jam magazine, but I'm holding my fair lady. Similarly, I'll ignore generations for glee. My plate is not filled with samp and beans, but sushi, beef fillets, all trimmed and lean, close to Master Chef regime. I chuckle as my fellow shaded brothers and sisters say, "Ufana na mlungu," huh? I tell them to translate what they convey. The mockery continues in vernac. It's like a membership in the Black United community is what I lack. Am I not an African too? Has my upbringing in the suburbs made me lose my roots? I've lost my label of black, and a coconut is what I've been tagged. But today, I refuse to allow your pencil to draw a picture of who I am, for I am as African as the music in life, the beat, the melody, and the tune. I have a twinkle in my eye that reflects the sub-Saharan moon. I am a daughter of this land. I am a child of Azania. I love my country, and I celebrate my modern culture. So today, I remove these limitations and I claim my identity back, because an African is exactly what I am.
Welcome back to Ikemba, a youth program on reparations. So we're talking about local government elections, and so I also want to mention one of our comrades, Jared Lamazon, who is our producer. He's also running in his constituency of good success. There's another member of Ikemba who is Ikita Edwards, and she's running in her constituency. And I want to salute all my other young friends who are taking up the challenge, taking up the mantle, participating in the process to not only for the process, to ensure that the process is better, but to ensure that when you get to the office, that everything that surrounds the process also improves. So let's get back to local government, guys. And you're campaigning. You're out in the streets, meeting with the people, and they say to you, local government elections, it make no sense, because at the end of the day, I still hungry. What local government elections can do for me? What do you say to them?
Well, I say that you are giving away your power when you say something like that. You're giving away your Guyanese right when you say something like that. Local government is there to facilitate development of the community, and your individual problems can be dealt with through local government. If you have issues when it comes to drainage, community work, the environment, garbage disposal, all of these are issues that you're creating an environment of healthiness, of stability. Therefore, you will portray what your environment is, what is around you.
You're a politician, but you're telling me bare lies.
No, I would never.
First, I would like to say to people, anyone that I come across, you can make that change happen. Let me represent you. If you're not comfortable with me represent you, you have that right to say, okay, she is not capable enough of representing me. He is not capable of representing me, because this person, I feel, has the willpower to get things done. And as such, if you believe that you will like to see a difference for generations to come for yourself, you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to put aside, y'all is politicians, y'all so nice. Look at the development of your community. Look at what you want to happen in the future for yourself and your kids and your grandkids. I always say that everything, like, if people don't understand that, it just takes one step. You sit back and you be judgmental and you be criticizing. You can be that change. If this is what you want to see happen, stand up and say, you know what, okay, I don't want to be a politician, but this is what I want to see done in my community. The only way to get that done, make your voices heard and vote.
But election day, you gotta get up and go and walk. The next day, you gotta get up and go and walk. Very much vote for you.
Everybody has to go and work, but everybody don't want to pick up filarium, because your drains need to be clean from those mosquitoes. Nobody wants to be. No, I'm very serious, because if garbage is there, mosquitoes are going to linger there. You're going to get sick. Your kids are going to get sick. Okay, good. That is other way. You have clean drains. Your garbage. Oh, burning the garbage is causing pollution. how do you dispose of your garbage? You either bury it or you have someone come and collect it for you. And we're giving you that privilege to have a clean surrounding. We're not giving you all that work to dig a hole and bury your stuff. We are looking for solutions to our problems. And we're asking you to help. If you have ideas, we're willing to take them and run with it, because you know at the end of the day, it is not for you or me. It's for all of we.
I like that.
It's not for you or me, but it's for all of we.
Yeah. So.
I like that. But
Still hungry.
I
Still hungry.
I still hungry. I still got to get up and work on election day, and regardless if I vote or not, the council will not be left without anybody. Even if the people that are running, even if it's the families alone vote, the council can get somebody. So I don't have to go out and vote. Why should I vote for you?
Throughout my presentation or speech or my answers, I keep speaking about responsibility. And it's a sad narrative when a young man, because most times a young man would tell you that who's probably unemployed, when a young man would be apathetic and say that, or become even cynical. Because it's one thing when you know nothing, it's another thing when you start to believe nothing. And when you believe that you don't have a voice and you don't matter, you know, they're saying mind over matter, I don't mind and you don't matter. When you believe you don't matter, it's a sad reality, because that is what feeds the criminal enterprise that we are so afraid of. If I believe that what my actions are inconsequential, I don't have to vote, I don't have to work, but I still want to complain, I'm still going to blame, and I don't take responsibility, then I become the problem.
Yeah.
So you really help people to understand, especially the youth, who are despondent and just disenchanted about the whole political landscape. You help them to understand their responsibility into changing it and becoming the change that they seek. So it is not enough to say that I am still hungry and it doesn't matter if I vote. It is required of you to participate, because you are literally a walking treasure chest. All of us have purpose. And when you understand who you are, why you are here, and the destiny that made you necessary, then you understand your personal responsibility, your individual responsibility, and your collective responsibility as a community. So when you understand the fact that you are a contributor and not a contaminant of the community, then you realize that you have to participate, and it is required of you to participate. So it's not enough to say that I am hungry. I will still be hungry. Because if you have that mindset, because as a man thinketh,
So shall he be.
in his heart, so is he. So there have to be a transformation in who we are, a sense of dignity, a sense of self. You know, we are taught the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. But we're not taught the 3 S's, self-concept, self-esteem, and self-worth. I usually ask people, what is the difference between a diamond and a pebble? And the answer is the diamond is more valuable, simply because the diamond is rare. And out of 600 million sperm cells, we were chosen. You, just being alive is a miracle. It was there was a ratio. You are 1 in 600 million. So you are literally a miracle. And you are literally sent here, packaged with talents, abilities, gifts, and strengths. But there was a previous system that stripped you mentally. So we were defeated mentally. That we don't even understand our individual value. So when I don't believe I am valuable, because only a person of value can add value, I believe I cannot add to the situation.
And Oprah usually says that.
Yes.
You cannot give what you do not have.
Exactly. Hence the importance of the elderly. They give us a sense of identity, a sense of history, legacy. So when you find a young person devoid and detached from heritage, destiny is at risk. So we have to ensure that there's a continuum of information, of ideas, of efforts, of energies, of community, of unity. So I believe to a young person that's saying, it doesn't matter if I vote, I have to ensure that that person understands who they are, why they are here, and their responsibility individually and collectively.
So it first starts with you, the individual. Your individual responsibility. And it gets greater than that because it's a chain. And so, as Ariel said earlier, that you are standing alone, you're more vulnerable. But if
Vulnerable to be broken.
vulnerable to be broken.
It's like a pointer. If you put a group of pointers together, you make a broom. You can't hardly break the pointer broom. But if you come out on your own,
Think about sweeping with 2 pointers. we almost at the end of our program. So I'll just ask for quick closing remarks. 15 seconds each.
I'm reminded of a Ngunu Bantu dialect. It means unity. But it's I am here because we are.
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu, correct. I am here because we are. There was a story, a European gentleman went to part of Africa and he placed some sweets at the end of a tree, 20 steps away, and he told the children, whoever runs to that gets the sweets. You know what the kids did? They held hands and they went towards that tree. When he asked them why, they said, Ubuntu, unity. Unity is very important. Collective action.
Ariel.
Okay, I would just like to say that young people, know your worth. Remember to not only look back and think that, okay, I'm looking back on history and the done, dead and gone, as we Guyanese would say. Look back, embrace it, learn from it, and put collective ideas together to make a better future.
Sometimes people hold a core belief that is very strong. And when they are presented with evidence that work against that belief, the new evidence cannot be accepted. It will create a feeling that is extremely uncomfortable called cognitive dissonance. And because it is so important to protect that belief, they will rationalize, ignore, and even deny anything that doesn't fit with that belief. So most of us avoid unpleasant truths and rush to comforting lies. As a generation in this time, we should refuse to be lied to. I was shocked when I heard her age because I applaud you at this age to be participating. I did not have the opportunity. So you cannot have a regime that says that, want to participate in something that they never allowed us to. So refuse to be lied to. We are better than this because better matters.
Better matters. So, Ubuntu, Amantla, Awetu. Thank you very much for participating this afternoon.
I applaud
this evening.
Thank you very much.
All right. So thank you very much for watching ikemba Youth Program on Reparations. Do have a good rest of the evening.
To get negotiations out of this funk, something needs to happen right now.
Come on to Tapel, one day go, Mr. Flavor.